Hey, what's up there, football fans, Buffalo Bill fans, and Kansas City Chief fans? I'm here in Denver, Colorado. About 20 degrees and some snow flurries here. Not a whole lot, but probably about an inch or two. But anyway, I just want to do a quick video because I messed up the original video. So this is more of a grassroots basic video. But let's just get to the nuts and bolts. So I'm going to review here a couple things on the KC versus the Buffalo Bills playoff game here for the AFC Championship, which is just a replay of what happened. Well, hopefully not a replay in my viewpoint, but replay of 2020 when I believe the Buffalo Bills were beaten by a score. I think it was 36-20. Take a look at my notes here. It's actually 38-24 when the Buffalo Bills were beaten by the Chiefs. Somehow I thought it was a closer game than that. But Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, as we all know. So a couple things to consider in this game. The second game in the playoffs, Sunday championship weekend. So we've got, of course, the Redskins, or the Commanders, as some people still continue to call them, even though I will always think of them the Redskins. No, I think that's a respectful thing, by the way. So I grew up in the DC area. I left in 1986, so the first team I actually watched. But overall, I'm a Denver Bronco fan, as you guys probably know by now. But got a sweet spot for the Commanders. So anyway, the Kansas City Chiefs were actually beat in Week 11 by a score of 30-21 by the Buffalo Bills. But overall, last 8 contests or meetings, they have a 4-4 record, so 50-50. However, in the playoff games, the Buffalo Bills are 0-3 against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are 11-0 in their last 11 games at Arrowhead. So we all know it's a tough place to play. We also know there's some factors with the referees, a lot of complaints going on lately. I see them too. I know a lot of people are, KC fans out there, and you were really getting down on Troy Aikman, saying he had sour grapes, but I think he's just calling things the way he saw it. You've got Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, I respect the guy. He's a great player, and he's just doing what the refs let him do, but I think it's really souring the game itself when they're letting him get calls that other quarterbacks don't get. And we know quarterbacks in this day and age get a lot of calls regardless. However, he's slowing up on the sideline, waiting to get hit, flopping like he's in the NBA, and he's getting that 15-yard penalty on 3rd down and long, and it gives them a continuous drive. So hopefully that won't happen in this game. Over the 11 of the last 12 games, however, the Buffalo Bills are averaging about 27 points per game, and they are getting about 4 touchdowns per game. So they are a high-octane offense. Josh Allen's matured a lot. He's not turning over the ball like he has in past years. He was the least sacked quarterback in the NFL this year. Has a great offensive line. I think, depending on the rating system you go by, PFF or what have you, I think they had the number 3 offensive line. Could be wrong on that. I think the Eagles are number 1, I believe. Consensus. Anyway, so the Buffalo Bills offense this year was 2nd overall in 2024 as far as points. Scored, averaging 19.2. And the Chiefs defense was actually at the fourth best as far as points given up. So should be a good battle of strengths on that. Chris Jones will lead their defense, of course. They're moving around a lot on the defensive line, but we also know that Josh Allen doesn't get sacked, and he's not going to get sacked as much as Stroud did. Stroud was hit 14 times, 8 sacks. A lot of clips there. If you watch some of the highlights there, he was just under duress the whole time. They still made it a game. I still think the Chiefs would have won it, even without the refs' help, but it is disheartening to see what the refs are doing on those games, especially that game being a very some playoff, moving on in the playoffs. So I don't think that it's fair that they do that. I don't like seeing it. I know Kansas City Chiefs fans are probably the only fans out there that are saying they don't see it, but everyone else does seem to see it. So anyway, Greg Rousseau is he's the main man in Buffalo as far as who will be putting on the pressure on and disrupting Patrick Mahomes. He only had about 8.5 sacks, but he's their main guy. As far as Buffalo goes, however, they have a tough time covering tight ends, as they did in that playoff game versus the Ravens. Isaiah Likely had a very big game, and so did Mark Andrews, even though he had some really tough drops there. He had a fumble, which was a huge turnover. He also missed the 2-point conversion, dropped the 2-point conversion, which would have tied the game and would have given them a chance to take this in overtime, even though there was about a little less than 2 minutes left, and Buffalo would have had the ball again. And who knows what Buffalo would have done, regardless if they would have gone on a field goal or not. But that was a big drop. But it was cold weather. A lot of people are down on Mark Andrews for that, but hey, the weather was bad. The onside kick was almost recovered due to the bad weather as well. So anyway, Lamar Jackson had 254 yards passing in that game, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, averaged 10.2 yards per attempt, had 114.4 rating. So he had a pretty good game. The 1 interception he threw must have been a miscommunication, because that pass was way far away from the receiver and seemed like it was going right to the defender there. So anyway, as far as rushing, they gave up 176 yards to the Ravens, combining, of course, Lamar averaging 6.5 yards per carry, Henry averaging 5.3 yards per carry, and Hill actually leading the team as far as average per carry at 8.3. So they had a hard time with the rush. We don't know what's going to happen with the Buffalo Bills as far as stopping the run against the Kansas City Chiefs. We know that they're more of a passing team, and they will mix it up a little bit with the run, and Kareem Hunt led their team as far as rushing last game versus the Texans. He had 8 attempts, 44 yards, averaged 5.5 yards per carry, pretty solid. I'm drawing a blank here, but you know their main man, who was injured all year, had under 4 yards per carry, and averaged under 4 yards per carry in this playoff game. 3.6 was the average, and I think that's what he actually averaged for the season in his injury, coming back from his injury, and under 400 yards total rushing for him. As far as their game goes, Kansas City versus the Texans, there were only 4 targets went to DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Juju Schuster, and all those guys have had 1,000-yard seasons in the past, but it was Xavier Worthy and Kelsey coming out from nowhere to actually have a game. Playoff Kelsey was back, so he slowed down. He had a big 42-yard catch, I believe it was 42 yards, took it down to the goal line. In past years, that would have been a touchdown. So he slowed down. I think he's on his last leg. He's with Taylor Swift, and I think he's going to retire soon anyway, but right now he showed up anyway. So Kelsey, I think he had 67 yards receiving in that game, most of those yards coming on that 1 catch. He did have a touchdown as well. As far as Buffalo goes, Khalil Shakir is the best thing they have, or the closest thing they have to a number 1 receiver. Keon Coleman, their rookie, showing up a little bit more. Amari Cooper, they picked him up during the season, and he didn't have a very big year at all, so we don't know. He's still talented. He did have 1 spectacular touchdown catch I saw him have. I think it was in week 16, I believe. But Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, they've got pretty solid tight ends. I don't know if they can cover tight ends very well. It's the problem for the Buffalo Bills. So as far as KC, though, they gave up 245 yards passing, but no TDs and no interceptions to Stroud. He had a 95.1 yard, or a 95.1 rating. So anyway, we will see what happens in this game. Like I said, Kansas City is 11-0 at home in their last 11 games. And we also know that Josh Allen, when he did beat them in week 11 by a score of 30-21, he was able to move that ball on the ground and through the air, 260 yards passing and a touchdown, as well as 55 rush yards and a touchdown again. So can they put pressure on Josh Allen? Maybe, but he is not Stroud. He can run around, he can break free, and we'll see exactly what happens there. They were able, like I said, 8 sacks versus Stroud, 14 hits on the guy, and we know Josh Allen, once again, was the least sacked quarterback in the NFL, and he does not turn over the ball. He's growing up. The guy is very mature this year, and he's just getting better and better. I don't think he'll win the MVP, however, because seeing guys that vote for the MVP vote for the all-pro quarterback, they voted for Lamar this year, so we'll see what happens. The Texans were able to pressure Mahomes 40% of the time. He was sacked 3 times. And actually, Kelsey caught 7 of 8 passes that game for 117 yards. So correction from earlier. Xavier Worthy, 45 yards. Mahomes had no interceptions that game. He hasn't thrown interceptions since week 11 when he threw 2 versus the Buffalo Bills. So that's something to consider. Joe Mixon gashed them for 88 yards and a 4.9 yard per carry average. As we know, the Buffalo Bills just beat the Ravens 27-25. Cook ran for 67 yards on 17 carries, only averaging 3.9 yards per carry. I think he's a way better back than that. I think he should have been a Pro Bowler this year. He was not a Pro Bowler, but it was a tough year as far as Pro Bowlers go. He had just over 1,000 yards rushing and added a decent amount of receiving yards. I think 300-400 yards there. So he's a reliable receiver. And finishing up on this video, you guys, let's take a look here if there's anything I missed on this game here. So anyway, let's just end it like this, though. Let's end it like this. So my viewpoint is I'm a Denver Bronco fan, but I'm also an NFL fan. I like good games, I like good competition, and I'll watch the games regardless. I'd love to see the Commanders/Redskins. Like, I wish they were called the Redskins still. At least hopefully they'll get the logo back. I hope they beat the Eagles. I want new blood in there. I want a rookie quarterback going in there and making the Super Bowl, so that'd be great. And I'm a little bit sick of the Eagles. The Eagles are a very strong team. They've got a lot of balance. Very good quarterback, receivers, offensive line, defense is solid this year. They really improved this year, and that'll be tough, but hopefully the Redskins can pull it off and win that game. And I want to see the Buffalo Bills. Just being honest with you guys, I'm kind of sick of the prima donna in my eyes. Prima donna, Kansas City Chiefs, and NFL knows where their roll is buttered, so they know how to butter that bread there. They got Taylor Swift and everything, so, and that brings a lot of viewership as well. But anyway, my guess here is Buffalo actually pulls this game out. I think the game gets called somewhat fairly. It is on the road for Buffalo. Kansas City at home. They don't lose at home, but I think they're a better team. I think they showed that in the Week 11 game. They intercepted Mahomes twice that game, beat him to 32-21, I believe I said. And I think they will hold on this game and surprise Kansas City in Kansas City, who's had some very tough games, very close wins, even though they had a great record this year. So let's just pull a random number out. I haven't really broken this down, but I think it'll be a high-scoring game because 32 degrees is the anticipated temperature with no precipitation, so they should be able to move the ball both sides, Kansas City and Buffalo, without much issue there. No slippery ball, a little bit chilly, but I think they can handle it. They're both used to cold weather. And let's go ahead and say it's going to be a high-scoring game. Let's go ahead and say 7-14-21. I'm going to go ahead and say 34-27. Buffalo Bills go on to the Super Bowl, and we'll see what happens against the Redskins and Commanders. And the Eagles, probably the Eagles, I'm going to say, is going to win that game. But it'd be great to see a Buffalo Bills versus the Commanders/Redskins Super Bowl. So hope to see you guys on the next video. It'll be better than this, but I just want to get a video out because we're getting to the end here. So take care, everybody, and please like, subscribe, and comments, and we'll see what happens, and I'll make a much better video next time. Thanks.